Peace, family. Peace, 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 peace. All right. So I hope you guys are having a phenomenal night. If not, do know and get your night, day, honey, is going to get better once your perception gets better. So, I was just, um, listening to this lady named Shay, the Love Diva. I believe her name is Shay, your Love Diva. Okay. And all right, so it's so funny how the universe works. And I had said this before, that the universe will always send us, whatever you call source, right? It will always show us. I don't know why over here look white, but it will always show us, what we have going on in our insides, right? Like how we feel about life, or how we feel about things, even when it comes to dating or whatever, right? So yesterday, this is what really brought this conversation up. And I'm gonna tell you guys like all the hints and everything that, I pretty much, that's why, because I didn't put nothing on my face. I'm like, why my face? One second, one second, family. Okay. All right. So, anywho, yesterday I had went to the yesterday I had went to the track field, right? And it was this brother there, right? And he was working out, and I seen him because of course I was walking the track field. And he looked it so good. I was paying attention to him because, as I'm walking I see him, and he's working out and everything like that. He's like so fit. He's really in shape. And whatever. So I had felt this feeling, right? Like as I was walking, like past him, he was like, all the way over in a corner, close to the entry of the track field. And as I was, walking, doing the track field, and as I was getting close to him, like I was getting nervous, right? And one of the things that I noticed, so you guys, I talked to you guys before about, how I've been single for about, I want to say like 4 years, 4 or 5, probably 5 years now. Let me see. Like 4.5 years, right? And I will say, right, like I'm single by choice, and things of that nature. And also, um and I also will put out, right, because I would say this, I would say I'm single by choice. And I can't say I didn't know that that really was like, a crutch, so to speak, because I even said it in my previous videos, that I was scared to date, right? And one of the things that I had got from Mason, April Mason, one of the things that you guys, if you don't know, April Mason, she's like a dating coach, right? And one of the things she says is like, if you practicing, all this self healing, this work and stuff like that that you are doing on yourself, how do you know if this stuff is working if you're not testing it, right? And so I heard her say that, and I thought about it. And it would be a few dates that, I would not even go on. Before I could even go on a date, it would be like, maybe I'm looking for something, right? Like I'm looking for something, I'm looking for a flaw or whatever it is to pretty much cut the guy off. And I'm looking, the red flags, but the red flags be there, right? I guess, if you look, is a law called law of polarity. If you look long enough, you can find something, right? And so one of the things that this other coach that I was listening to tonight, her name is Shay Love Diva. And she's like a dating coach, whatever. And one of the things that she said was that people who normally say that they are single by choice is like they say that, but basically what they saying really is they so afraid to date because they don't trust their inner voice, their intuition that's telling them, like this person isn't right, or the red flags is showing, and all these different things. And it's so funny, right? It's so funny. And it's I believe in divine timing, okay? And I believe that whatever answers that you're seeking, the universe is going to give them to you. So I told you guys about the incident yesterday, right? When I was walking the track field, I see this brother, right? And he's masculine, right? He's in his masculine field, right? Also, this is something new that I had learned too. If you are critiquing and always criticizing yourself as a female, you are more in your masculine energy. So we all know, right, that we have a masculine and a feminine side to us. Everyone, male, female, we all have, the two opposites, the masculine and the feminine, right? And I also told you guys before that I would attract guys that I felt like, I wanted to make them effeminate, right? Meaning that, I would go after guys that I felt like I could make them into whatever it is that I wanted them to be, because I settled and I wasn't willing to wait to manifest what I truly desire, because I felt like I wasn't good enough for it, one. And then two, I also felt like, I have children, and what God would want me with, me having children and stuff like that. So these was like all the things that was going on in my mind, right? And what you have to realize and understand is, oftentimes we're not saying this stuff. We're not saying like, well, I don't, a guy may not want me because I have kids, or a guy may not want me because, I'm not earning X, Y, and Z, or whatever it is, because, somebody done came and told us, well, a guy won't want you because of X, Y, and Z, right? And necessarily we're not outright saying it. But the truth of the matter is that oftentimes we are attracting from our energy, right? Because like attracts like. And if you have that going on within yourself, thinking that, you're not good enough, or you don't deserve love, or you got to do X, Y, and Z in order for you to obtain love, then that's like the signal that you are putting out into the ether, into the universe. And, you could say, well, I don't want to attract the guys like, I used to attract. Well, then that means that you have to change who you are. So I wanted to come on here real quick because the Love Diva, one of the things that she talked about was the courting stage, the vetting stage, right? Like when you dating, and that was another thing. I remember I had heard Tony Gaskin, right, on YouTube, and Tony Gaskins, he's like a dating coach too, and one of the things that he said was, often nowadays you don't see women dating, right, and for so long I wouldn't date different guys or whatever it is like that. What I would do was I would get into relationships. Like, all right, I'm gonna tell you guys this story, right? It was this guy, right, that I was interested in, and me and him started talking, and this was probably like about 2 years ago. Me and him started talking. And I told him from the jump, like, what it is that, I told him from the jump, what it was, right? That I wasn't looking for, whatever X, Y, I was looking for a relationship, right? And one of the things my mother said to me, she was like, when you first start talking to the guy, right, you don't, like, you got to give it time. But I felt like, let the guy know up front, because I don't want him to get any ideas. And then I'm thinking, right, like, my mother was right, because anybody could tell you anything. And it goes back to, I remember I had heard Miss Iyanla Vanzant say this. She said, you do not get to tell people how to love you. Now, I know some people may be like, what? Right? She says, you do not get to tell people how to love you. What you get to do is see how they love, and then see if that is something that you want, right? And see if that is something for you. Because if you're telling somebody, well, I want you to love me like this, I want you to love me like that, sometimes people aren't capable of loving you the way you desire, because maybe they love language is oops upside the head. Or maybe they love language is, you gotta earn love when love is actually deserving. So I was thinking, all of this, and I'm gonna tell you guys something else, right? Before I did this, because, all right, so earlier I was on TikTok, right? And it was this psychic that was on there, and I forgot her name. But it was talking about relationships, right? And, she kept on talking about relationships and stuff like that. And she was, telling mainly the women, the right letters of forgiveness, like forgive themselves and, burn the paper, because we all know there's energy oftentimes that we keep that, in our body, right? And if you don't get rid of the energy, you may think, sometimes we may say, well, I forgave that person or whatever it is, but the energy is still in our body, right? And that's why you tend to attract what you attract. And that's why you tend to have these energy blocks, where so you say, well, I want a relationship like this, or I want to manifest money or whatever it is. Oftentimes it seems like you're not getting ahead or you're not manifesting it is because you have an energy block, right? And so the reason why I wanted to do this video was because it was so funny, right? That I was watching the young lady, and she was telling all these women, do this. And it was several women, that paid for a session or whatever. And she was telling them to do, all these different things. And it kept coming up about relationships. So, I'll put two and two together. Like, I tell you guys, I believe in synchronicities. When I see numbers, 222 or 333, whatever it is, 666. I believe in synchronicities. I believe that the universe is always conveying a message to us, always talking to us. Now, you can say source, you can say whatever it is that you want to say. I say the universe, okay? And so, after I watched, the young lady, the who was giving the readings, it was so weird that right after that, the lady Shay, Love Diva, came on, right? And as I'm listening to her, she's talking about, it was very interesting because I learned some new things. And I tell you guys, you should always be learning something new each and every day, right? And that's what the ancestors would say. Like, it's either you creating or you disintegrating. Each and every day you should be learning something new. And one of the things that she was saying was, is it vasopressin? But she was talking about the male hormones, right? And how males have a bonding hormone called is the trigger vasopressin, right? And basically that's like, the guys, they have like this hormone where as though, they be bonding to almost like a baby, right? A baby is bonding to the mother, right? Or the mother bonding to the baby. And we have a hormone called, honey, I was writing this stuff down, oxytocin, right? And that's like the woman bonding hormone. And then a man bonding hormone is vasopressin. And I was, as I was writing this stuff down, I know some of you guys like, where's she going with this? Because I never heard nobody talk about like a male having a bonding hormone, right? Like even me as a female, bonding hormone. And it was just really, really interesting. So, one of the things that I had heard was, and one of the things that I go through with myself is I start asking, when I'm, get approached or whatever it is like that. This is one of the things that I started seeing, right? When a guy approached me, right? Oftentimes I am like sometimes I give my number. But then I have this idea and I know, right? And it's like, I have this idea like I'm not really, into him like that, right? And so then I tell a guy, I'm not interested or whatever it is like that. And so I have this stage with me because nowadays I'm like, I'm very aware that I'm not trying to build someone, right? I'm not trying to, make them into something that I felt like they ought to be or whatever it is like that. Like I used to do. Nowadays it's just like, but my thing is in the beginning, right? For me to start telling the person up front, like, man, I'm not interested or whatever it is like that. And then also what I noticed was, even my sister said this, right? Because a lot of times, I go out for walks and stuff like that and, goes to the supermarkets and, stuff like that. But one of the things my sister said to me before, she said, and this is when I was doing Uber, and she said, you're not gonna meet anyone. You're not gonna meet anyone just by you just always like doing Uber and being in the house and stuff like that. But pretty much, you're not gonna meet anybody if you just, isolate yourself or whatever. And so tonight, I really got a aha moment, and one of the things that I know to be true is when you desire something, right? When you ready for it, it will show up. Okay? Let me say it again. When you desire something, it will show up when you're ready for it. Okay? But if you have this idea of, well, this person, like, they got to be perfect, or or whatever it is like that, then oftentimes you may overlook. And then what I'm telling myself is, because I told you guys before, like, I'm afraid to date. And one of the things that I got from Shay was, she said people who say they're afraid to date is because they've been hurt so bad before that they scared to really listen to their inner voice because they don't trust themselves. And, it's so funny because oftentimes we say, damn, I thought I healed from this, or I thought I did the work from this. And it's like you're going back to the drawing board all over again. But the phenomenal thing about life is this. Life will always show you what you need to work on. Right? Like, the people that comes into our lives, they are always reflecting back to us what we are tolerating, right? What we constantly deal with, put up with. And they only reflectors of us. And I think that's like, one of the things that really kind of scared me, because at times I'm like, well, I did this, and the fear of someone showing me up, nope, you ain't do this, you ain't hear that. But how would you really know if the work that you're doing on yourself, if it is successful, if you're not putting it to the test, right? So I wanted to come on here real quick to talk about that. I love you guys. Make sure you're rocking out, believing in yourself. And just know that whatever it is that you want, it truly wants you, right? But oftentimes we have to deal with those energy blocks, because the energy blocks, it doesn't matter, how much you say, you want this, you want that. If you are not aware of what you're signaling, what you're putting out into the ether realm, what you're putting out into the universe, it doesn't matter how much you say you want it. And you could work your ass off, but it has seemed like the harder you work is just not matching up, right? And I think about that, even, I think about that. And I remember I had heard my mentor, Bob Proctor, say this. He said, you could work and work and work all you want to, but you will be getting the same exact results that you got last year, because you're not doing anything different. You may take a little step front, but then you take 10 steps backwards, right? And that's why I really listen to, stuff that's reprogramming my subconscious mind all day, even times when I don't really care to, because I know that is clearing those energy blocks, right? And me doing the affirmations and, me becoming aware, because with awareness, that's the thing that's going to help you get better results. If you're not aware that you're in a prison, if you're not aware that you're in a prison, right, you will just keep on being incarcerated, right? And when I say incarcerated, I'm not talking about physically, I'm talking about mentally. If you're not aware that you are in a prison, right, the door is wide open, okay? You don't need a key to leave the escape from the prison. It's just open. If you're not aware that the door is open and you can leave at any given time, then you will keep on staying in that comfort zone. Keep on staying in that box. Keep on staying and doing the same exact thing. Why? Because you're not aware. Awareness, okay, when you aware, you can do things differently. And oftentimes people will say stuff. They'll say stuff, like, damn, you act just like your mother. You act just like your father. Or, you mean as hell. And as said, if you hear it multiple times, it's time for you to look at yourself. Okay. With that being said, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.